Hi there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's wonderful to be with you this way. And Joel, if you would just remember to set up the laptop on stage for me, so I can see everybody on stage while they looking at me.
Jeff is bringing it up right now. Graeme, thanks so much. Can you hear us okay here?
I can hear you perfectly. It's lovely to be with you this way. I wish I could be in the room, but I really like the fact that I can bring this presentation, which is about not hybrid. It's not about when some people are online and some people are in a room. It's not when you're in the room and some people are online. We've had all of those hybrid options. It's really this one specific use case where here's myself and my business partner, Boothlet Lamini. He's actually based in Nova Scotia. And he and I do a lot of these sorts of things where the clients are all in the room, just like you are, but we are beaming in as external presenters. And we're going to talk about 4 things that you need to do in order to get this right. The first is, I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight that I think this is one of the ways of the future for speaking. Not for everybody. Not all of you want to be outside of the room. Not all of you can be because of your topic, because of your style and approach. But those of you who can, we're going to talk a little bit about how you might price these things, what you could do. Certainly, I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and you can copy it if you want to. Other options are available. Then we're going to get into some detail. We're going to do a little bit of a studio tour, just show you what I'm doing with my technology and my setup here. And then we can talk very briefly, give you a few ideas of what you can do in the room. And we'll do this all in about 20 minutes and have a few minutes left for Q&A at the end. Let's hope that all of this works. So I don't have a crystal ball, nobody does, but this is what I do for a living, not this type of presentation. I'm not here to try and impress you with the best speech you've heard this weekend. I'm here to just do a masterclass. This is continuing the Meet the Experts, if you like. So I want to take you behind the scenes. Not, as I say, to some crystal ball I've got hidden somewhere, but to the work that I do trying to anticipate future disruptions and future trends. And I think that what's about to happen in the next year, and you're already feeling this, a lot of our clients, after a few years of COVID, they want to get back in the room. Everybody's talking about this, desperate to get everybody back in the room. So what do? They hire a conference venue. They get the flights booked. 25% of the flights don't arrive on time. The airports are chaos. The hotel's not quite as geared up as it used to be. They don't have all the staff they used to have. And we've forgotten how bad hotel and convention food and coffee is. I don't know what it's like where you are at the moment, but anyway, we've forgotten all of that. Then we suddenly discover the CFO falls sick. The CEO's got a massive problem with the supply chain out of China. Last minute cancellations, half the people can't actually be in the room. We've got to try hybrid anyway. You've been there, done that already, and our clients are going to experience this through the course of the next 8 to 9 months. And I think that a lot of them will realize if they want to get everybody back in the room, if they want to connect with everybody, they mustn't overreact, go back to everybody in the room again. They're going to have to go with some kind of hybrid system. And that's the point where we can step in as speakers as well and say, you know what? It's great that you can be in the room, and I agree with you. You and all of your team need to be in the room. But I don't need to be in that room. Now, I realize some of you would prefer to be in the room, and some of you, your style, your topic, what you're doing for your clients, you need to be in the room. So that's fine. Hopefully you'll pick up a few other tips in this session, but this session's not for you if that's who you are. But for those of you who think, you know what, I can be in the room sometimes, but sometimes it will be great not to be. I think we need to push a little bit harder back at our clients, give them the option. And then, of course, we've got to have a setup that allows us to do this with style. Now, before we talk about the setup, let's just talk about pricing. I reduced my prices just a little bit, gave a few discounts to some of my best clients, my longest standing clients, tried to keep my pricing as close to where it was pre-COVID during the COVID pandemic, but dropped it, let's say 20, 25% with the odd discount here or there. What I've done is I've kept that pricing as my virtual pricing. And I've pretty much doubled that. So I've gone to about 30 or 40% above what I was before COVID for local face-to-face, local being South Africa, and international, I've quadrupled my pricing, really just gone crazy. And when the clients come to me and they say, wow, that's expensive, I say, I know. And the amazing thing is, for a quarter of that price, you could get me in this beautiful 4K studio that I've set up, doing pretty much everything you would get me to do in the room, but I'm just doing it online. That's really, really, really working for me. There are a few clients who will pay the big ticket and get me in the room. That's what they really want. But I can do 3, 4, 5 events in a day now, working out of my virtual studio, just by giving the clients that option and proving to them that I can do everything that I need to do. Now, in order to do that, we've got to have a good setup here. Lights, camera, a little bit of action going along. So let's have a look at what that looks like. I'm going to give you a little bit of a studio tour. And as it happens, my secondary camera, which I don't use often, just somehow today has decided not to work. So can I just ask the tech team if they would switch to my other camera? Okay. I'll wait. If you can just switch now to, there we go. Okay. So now you are with me in my studio. So let me show you here what I can see. So take a step back here, and let's look behind me. First of all, that's literally a green painted wall. So it's a green screen. I converted a garage to do this. So that's what's actually behind me. I'll talk about that more in a second. Then the lighting is important. So let's talk about lights first. So what you need on, whoops, sorry, that was a bit too fast for you there, but on each side of me, I can literally touch it. You can see I'm touching the light. And on the other side, I can touch the light. These lights are next to me. On either side of me, let me just do that there so you can see that a little bit better, and they are facing backwards. Now, if you don't want to use a green screen, that's fine, because whatever background you've got behind you, it must be lit with a different light so that your camera can pick up the background behind you and differentiate your face. So I've gone a little bit overboard. I put a secondary sun in here. You don't have to go this, but this is a beautiful diffusion so that I'm not getting a glow on my face. And then just because I could, I put another light which is bouncing off the ceiling. So I mean, I've got beautiful lighting over here, LED lights. You don't have to spend this much on lighting. You can just use those little ring lights. That's probably good enough. I just decided to go the next step up. Then the next thing you need, if you've got your lighting right, you need your camera set up. So you need an external camera. So here's my laptop with my slides and my software, and sitting a little bit back and a little bit up above my laptop is my camera. An external camera makes all the difference in the world. And what you'll see, you'll see I've got a big monitor there behind me where I can see you, I can see my slides, I can see the chat box if I need to, some notes. And the camera I've also set up with a nice little pulley arm. I've set the camera in the middle of my screen. The most high-tech part of my studio is the little sticky tape below the camera pointing me to the camera to remind me that that is where you are or where you'll be in a second. And then the action part is the laptop that's all linked up. You can see I'm all cabled in here. And that's the studio set up. Right, you can take me back to my other camera, please. Thank you for coming to my studio. Right, thank you for that. So the only other thing you need to know is that I'm using a piece of software called Ecan Live, which replaces the green screen behind me with PowerPoint slides. Now, that is a specifically Apple Mac piece of software. You can use OBS, which is quite a chunky but free piece of software that works on both Mac and Windows. But the one I recommend most to people, they were, must have thought they were very smart to have come up with that. What they didn't think is we're all going to have to spell it for each other when we recommend it to friends. But mmhmm.app is the website, and you get a free trial of this. It's not that expensive on a monthly subscription, and both Windows and Mac, it is the easiest of these pieces of software to use and very, very powerful. So lights, must get your lights right. You've got to have light on your face and light on your background. You need an external camera, whether it's an expensive camera or a webcam. Having it separate, there isn't a laptop that's got a good enough camera. And also the laptop's camera doesn't get that depth of field that you're looking for. Whether you're using a green screen or you've just got your office or another background behind you, you want that depth of field, and a webcam will give that to you. And then ideally you position the webcam with a nice external screen that's got all your notes, so that mainly you can be looking at the camera. Don't forget, you will have a chance to ask me some questions later if that's not enough information for you. I really do believe that look, you can go to town, you can spend a lot of money, you can set up a professional studio, you can do what I'm talking about here for a few $100s. This is not super expensive stuff, but I do think that what I'm giving you is the absolute minimum for someone who calls themselves a professional speaker, to just elevate your game above what everybody else is doing. Now, you're doing this whole effed up thing. Let me add my little 1 minute in here at this moment. You can see I've been practicing this a lot. And early on in COVID, I got this whole thing set up. I was looking very good. I was really enjoying being kind of way better than anybody else. And I was invited to speak for the Institute of Directors, massive nationwide conference, and all the other speakers, CEOs of big companies listed on the stock exchange, they all had those versions of their computers where you're looking up their nose. They don't have decent backgrounds. They've got the cat walking across in front of them. And it really was horrific. The F up that I did was I lost it. I just thought, come on, guys, you don't have to have a studio like me, but surely as the CEO of a stock exchange listed company, you could have just upped your game a little bit in the last 6 months. And I said that on Facebook, not realizing the client, yes, not realizing, of course, that the client was watching Facebook in real time. And I haven't done any work for the Institute of Directors since. Okay, so you've got yourself set up, you've convinced the client, that they can be in the room, but you don't have to be. So how do you get into the room? Well, the very simple rule, the number one rule of all hybrid delivery, as well as this kind of delivery, is that everybody needs to see everybody. So you can see me and I can see you. So what we've done, you heard me asking for it, and I deliberately asked for it out loud. We don't have to hide this. Deliberately asked to just have a laptop on stage. So Jeff, and thanks to the tech guys at the back of the room for all your hard work, for everybody else, but especially for me, I really do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working with you. But it was very easy. You don't need to spend $1 million. Sorry, Jeff, I wasn't supposed to tell that out loud. You were meaning to up the invoice, I think. But no, joking. You don't have to spend $1 million here. Literally just take somebody's laptop, put it on stage, and point it at the audience. So there's a laptop sitting on stage, I think sort of just out of sight, but it means I can basically see most of the room, even though this is a fairly weird shaped room. We worked it out last night. Easy to do. You could easily just do it with an iPhone, and simple stuff. But if you can see the room and hear the room, you get a lot more in interaction. So make sure you do a tech check to just see that everything's working, making sure that if you need an external camera like I just did through Zoom, it's available, that you get a comfort level with what the tech people are comfortable with, show them what you're trying to do, let them understand it. We did this all yesterday at this time. And then don't be scared to be interactive. So let me show you, there's a number of ways to be interactive. We can obviously do a little digital stuff. We'll do that in a moment's time. But won't you just all put your arms like this for me? I can see you. So if you do it for me, thank you. Now, this is just a way to get nice visual feedback in a Zoom meeting. This is 0 out of 100. Like this is 100 out of 100. 0 means absolutely no way, not going to happen. And 100 means I'm in for it. And my question to you is, do you think you are going to be experimenting in 2023 with being in the room, but not in the room? So do you think this might be something that you could do, that you could set up? Some of you just say, no, it's not going to work for my style. It's not going to work for my clients. So no, not going to happen. Some people say, absolutely, I'm there like a bear, I'm going to do it. Other people, give it a go, see what happens. And now I've just been able to get some visual feedback, right? Seeing that quite a lot of you are going to give it a go. Some of you have realized already, not going to work for me. That's fine. But for those of you who are going to give it a go, hopefully you're getting some good ideas here. Another top tip is to have a helper in the room. At the moment, we're not needing that. Joel's going to help me in a moment or so to just do some Q&A with you. But if, for example, I had asked you to turn to the person next to you and have a conversation, it's very difficult for me to get your attention back, because now I'm just a TV screen in the corner of the room and I'm easy to ignore. So you definitely want somebody in the room, and you want to work with that person. Give them a sense of when you might hand over to them to just manage the group dynamics. Obviously, if you're sending people to a break, the person in the room needs to bring them back. So make sure you got some helping hands in the room. And above all, this is something that does take a little bit of effort. It does work you hard, but you can also have a little bit of fun with it, and play around with the technology. Don't forget to bring who you are into the room, whatever that might look like. I'm working here, please.
I mean, you're working. You're here all alone.
I'm not alone. I've got lots of people here with me.
Oh, wow.
Have a look.
Apologies there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, apologies for the interruption. I just brought you something to drink.
Okay, just please put it down there for me. Thank you. Can you go now, please? Thank you. Thank you. Good grief. Good grief. Sorry about that. Man. No. Don't clap for him. Don't clap for him. That'll only encourage him to come back, and I'm not interested. Don't do that. Okay. Obviously, if we had hours and hours, we could do a lot more, but here's what I know. We are going to be doing some more stuff virtually than we've done before, less than when we were in COVID, but the possibilities are endless now. I think we've got to take this seriously. I think we've got to set ourselves up for success. You've got to practice stuff. You've got to try stuff. You got to F up every now and again and learn from it. But I think that we can be there even when we're not. And before I get Joel to just come and do a quick, I've left a few minutes for Q&A. I would just like you to do one more thing for me. This is another way to be interactive. You know Mentimeter and Slido. This is the same. I use AHA Slides. But won't you just go there now quickly? This, by the way, is probably more valuable in a hybrid meeting, but it's pretty cool for this type of session as well. Level the digital playing field. Use digital tools, even when everybody's in the room. Let's not think that digital tools are only for digital meetings. This gives a lot of people, especially the introverts, the quiet people, the minority voices, it gives them a way to interact. And I think people are enjoying this. So even actually when you are physically in the room, I would still use things like AHA Slides. And just by the way, and this is behind the scenes, this is a very cool way to let people know that even in the 22 minutes that you promised the organizers you would take and you're about to deliver big time, you've given people at least 11 fantastic ideas, and they might not even realize how many things you had given them in that short space of time. So this is just a way for me to say, I hope that you do experiment a little bit with this. If you have already been doing it, up your game, whatever that means. If you haven't tried it yet and been a little bit nervous, I think this is part of the future. Not all of the future, but part of the future. And I hope that you give a few of these a try. Some of you are saying pricing is something you're going to be thinking about. It genuinely, that's working nicely for me. And then what else are you saying? Everybody sees everybody. That's an absolute bedrock of virtual and hybrid meetings, and it's very easy to do. And then you've basically spread across the board. I've no idea how you actually clone yourself. Good luck on that one. And now, Joel, let's do a little bit of Q&A. I think we've got a few minutes.
All right, let's have a round of applause for Graeme first. And Graeme, if you can see me, this on this laptop right here,
I can.
I'm talking with Graeme, and we've got our sound coming through. There we are. There he is. There's the room going around. Look at that. Wow. Wow. And who has questions for Graeme? We can go. I'm going to come over here to Michelle Ray. Here we go. All right. Here's Michelle.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Okay,
Hey,
I want
Michelle.
to know how you did that. Obviously, you recorded yourself. If you could explain that, I'd be very curious. Thank you.
Doesn't the magician's circle have all sorts of rules about this sort of thing? No. So basically what I did there was I recorded myself obviously walking in. I've got the setup in a way where I just know the spacing, and I recorded myself on the green screen in whatever video editing software you use, or better outsource it to somebody. All they do is they just crop the background out, and then you've got, like in graphics forms, it's called a PNG. So it's a transparent image, and it's basically just a transparent video. So there's a video, basically, it's a video that plays in the background. And then I've just had to learn the timing of that video, and I interact with it live. But it's basically a video. I can show you here just very quickly. It's just a video that will just play in the background, basically.
What do you mean you're working?
Anyway, lots of fun.
Thanks, Graeme. There we go. There's Tim Gard here coming up for you.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
How are you? Hope to see you in March
wonderful.
when we're out that way. Hey,
I'm sure we will.
my question is, I've had problems where we've set up with clients and their speed of their internet speed was dropping the signal at their end. It's not on our end, it's on their end. Do you set that up in contract in advance to say that you'll have this, whatever set up? I mean, is it something you do in contracting? How do you do that?
Yeah, so Tim, a really great question, by the way, because it does happen fairly regularly. The first thing to say is doing the session this way, where basically I'm not sharing my slides separately, but I'm in my slides and I'm giving just a single feed. Jeff, no, we're not going to be able to show people the Zoom, but basically I've just logged into Zoom and this is a full screen. So I'm not sharing any slides separately. That dramatically reduces the amount of bandwidth required. So that's helpful to start with. But then the second thing is, yes, I insist on two things, Tim. The first is I ask them to not use the hotel's regular Wi-Fi. I ask them to check in advance. Normally hotels, and sadly, and I don't mean to do this, but the United States has some of the worst internet connectivity in the world. There's just no doubt about it. But hotels typically have a public Wi-Fi, which is rubbish, and then they have a reasonably good Wi-Fi that you can purchase. And you can, so all the Marriotts have an upgrade for $10 a day or something. So again, you ask the client to do that. If the hotel doesn't have a minimum, I typically ask for 20/20, so 20 megabytes per second down and up as a minimum, which just, I'd prefer 50 or fiber. I've got a 1 gig line here at home in Johannesburg, but I'd prefer full fiber, but 20/20 at least means they've gone beyond public access. And then the second thing, and Tim, this is actually the easiest way to do it. You make sure that there's somebody in the room who's got 4 or 5G on their phone and are ready to use their phone as a backup. And often the phone tethering is better than the hotel. And you just switch to the phone tethering. They've just got to make sure they've got a reasonable data package because it can suck a lot of data. Okay, long answer, but thanks for the question.
That's great. As we were setting up yesterday, Graeme said, Jeff, you've got my WhatsApp, right? Just in case something, happens here, we can log in on your WhatsApp, and he does. Here's Alvin Law.
Hey, Graeme, how you doing, buddy?
Alvin, how are you, buddy?
I'm fine. I think the question is, people here are going, do we really have to be computer genius to do what you're doing, or are we too intimidated by this? You're making it seem awfully simple, and I know you're a very smart guy, but what do you say to us that are kind of going, are we really that smart?
Well, Alvin, I know you well enough to pull this one off. You might have struggles, my friend, because I'm using three hands and my feet to do this. I've got a lot more respect for the people who do the weather now. I thought that just pointing to an incoming hurricane was quite easy. It does take a little bit of practice because I'm pointing at nothing here. I'm also looking at myself, but preferring to look at you, and I keep missing that. It takes some practice, but it's not more difficult than writing a straight line on a whiteboard. So what I mean by that is, if you don't practice, it's going to be bad. If you do practice, you can get it done. It's not difficult. I've upped my game 2.5 years, sort of every 2 months I've upped my game. So you'd be starting a year or two behind, but you can catch up very quickly. And it's easy stuff to do, I think.
Thanks, buddy.
That's great. Maybe one more question here from a VIP, new friend. Yes, your name is Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi. Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Hey, Sue.
This is more of a tech question. I saw you show an independent camera. Which one do you use? Is there a specific one you need for that?
You can use anything. So you can buy an external webcam, a Logitech, or anything along those lines that'll cost you $100 or so. I use the particular camera that I was using is a Sony ZV-1, and it was specifically designed for vlogging. And so it does most things automatically. That would cost closer to $800-900. So a little bit more expensive. It was the most, it's the most expensive individual item in my studio. But yeah, it's been well worth it. But you don't have to spend that amount of money.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
We've noticed that even the microphone on some laptop cameras now, especially frankly the Apples, the MacBooks, it's amazing. The camera is pretty good, and I know some people have said, I just use that one, and that's all. Graeme, I want to.
Joel, can I do 30 seconds on that, because I disagree entirely.
Please.
I've got an Apple Mac M1 spec'd out up the wazoo, and it's got the best camera Apple have ever produced and the best microphone they've ever produced. But here's your problem. It has no depth of field. It's still a rubbish camera, even though it's the best camera Apple's ever done. And the microphone is not directional. For those of you who know what that means, it's designed to pick up every single noise in the entire room. And so if you're in a quiet room and you're locked away, that's fine. But I've literally been presenting while there's been a Johannesburg thunderstorm here, which is lightning and hail. Go and look at my Facebook page to see what this afternoon was like. And if I didn't have this external mic, it would have been chaos here. So I disagree with you. The laptop camera and microphone is not good enough if this is the level of quality you're aiming for.
Fair. You know, I actually, just to clarify, I wasn't going to suggest presenting with that. I don't think that's
no, of course you wouldn't. No. I know it was some other people.
All I was saying was when we were testing, what kind of setup do we need in the room? We said, well, this is a Dell, but let's have a laptop in here. And Graeme said, it doesn't have to be a good laptop. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. It can just be something, I just want to be able to see the room. That's it. And the only thing we haven't really talked about, Graeme, that I maybe we'll have to say, because it may be above, first of all of our technical capabilities, is the difficulty of getting this mic's sound that I'm using through the speakers and into Zoom, without getting the feedback through this computer, having this one all muted up properly. Those little technical things, I found most non-technical teams don't really have a clue about how to do. And sometimes those pieces are sort of the limiting factors. Graeme, do you have any very fast words on, like, what about the sound in that sort of thing? Because we haven't talked at all about microphones. This will be the last thing, and then we're going to take a break here.
Sure. Look, this is the standard thing that any of you have been speaking for a while. You hate it when you hear the clients say, oh, we haven't got in professional tech people, we haven't got in professional AV. You know, Mary from accounts is very good with computers, and she's going to handle all the sound.
She's great. And, yeah.
You know, exactly. Yeah. They normally only do that for 1 year, but unfortunately, if that's the year you're there, it's a nightmare. So ideally, you want to push back at the client, just find out. That's why a tech check is important, so you know what you're dealing with. So if you're really interested, ask Jeff at the back. He can tell you exactly what he did with all the cables and switches and so on. But here's a quick tip. If you put a laptop on every table, so if you're sitting at cocktail tables, you got a laptop, everybody dials into Zoom, but everybody mutes. Top tip with Zoom, if you hold the space bar down, it unmutes you while you're holding the space bar down. When you let the space bar go, it mutes you immediately. And that's all you need. A laptop on every table acting as a temporary mic. As somebody wants to say something, they just hold the space bar down, speak to you. There may be a slight echo, but it's not bad, and they let it go. That is the lowest tech version you can do. Ideally, though, you'd need a reasonably good AV team to help you, like we've got today, and I thank them once again. It's been a pleasure working with them.
Yeah, let's not only thank our AV team, but also Graeme for a fantastic session. Thank you, Graeme.
Cheers, everybody.